Uh, I've been putting out a few lives, practicing, a few elements of having you guys see the repeats, you know what I'm saying? Repeating some shows. You guys can catch up and tune into the Wheelers podcast for what you know and how you know and how to do it. You know where to go for information that's critiqued to a mindset and a lifestyle. I hope you understand that. See, the thing is, when I started this podcast, I understood one thing. You have to be authentic, and I have to be myself, which meaning I have to be comfortable. So in order to be comfortable and you to see the best version of me, I have to be, put myself in a space of comfort to be my complete and total self. Hope you understand that. So check it out, man. We're gonna get into the show tonight. Mask on, mask off America. I hope y'all share. Stay with me. Watch the long version of my shows. I promise you, they are the reason why I could put out so many thunderous shorts. You got to understand how I lead into them and how I orchestrate the show to lead into these whip moments, because these whip moments develop into their different stories that are intricate into the show that helps you understand different perspectives. So sometimes they're my experiences, sometimes they're short stories from books that I share. Sometimes you may understand things and you have a aha moment. So stay with me, share, like, subscribe, and understand what you're tuning into. It's a high level of content and information. I'm intricate, I'm intelligent, and also I'm understanding. I'm humble as well. A lot of people can hold a lot of different elements at one time, but mask on, mask off. When you don't wear a mask, you just be. When I don't have to pretend for nobody, because I'm coming in the game with everything. I'm motherfucking want this shit about respect. Respect about what I'm trying to do and how I'm trying to do it. There we go. There we go. Hold on. Let me check my settings too, though, for real. In the audio space, gotta check my settings to make sure we good. You know what I'm saying? Make sure my mic working and everything. You know what I'm saying? But I have to make sure the alignment and everything. That's very important to me. Alignment. It's very important. It should be important to you too. Well, see, the thing is, what people don't understand, and we're getting into the whip moments. Just stay with me. Y'all gotta understand how to, understand how this show work. I have whip moments. We talk about different subjects, current events, and different aspects, scenarios that I like to point out in order for people to understand, you know, where the show is going, how it's been orchestrated, and how we like to share information. So I wanted to share this one book, The Uncivil War, The Struggle Between Black men and women, right here. Uncivil War and how it was perpetuated. So what I'm gonna try and allow us to do is get out of the fantasy world of dating and thinking that men got to make this kind of money and that kind of money and do. You need to get back to, if you have a heart to survive, you should think about your security. If you have plenty of money, think about a man that you will like with good character, a man that will, think about your well-being, a smart man. But those are things that you have to be able to learn how to think of, because some motherfuckers are swindlers, and they'll take all your money and your cash. So I know you think it's it's a very peculiar situation, but when you make everything about money and when you make everything about being peculiar, hiding things, then you don't really have anything. So you have to be careful with what you ask for, but you also have the intelligence to make specific decisions for you and your future. But let's get to how these things have happened. Very peculiar. Oh, okay. Let me see. I don't want to go there. It says Danny Glover. Oh yeah, yeah. This. Oh, okay. Here we go. This is a good one. All right, fine. Danny Glover is another popular actor who takes advantage of the opportunities providing him to highlight positive aspects of Black Americans. In 1985, Danny Glover played the role of cruel rate of a cruelest black man ever to be seen on the movie screen, the role Mr. in Steven Spielberg's version of Alice Walker's novel The Color Purple. Controversy and much discussion was created everywhere the film was shown. Walker had already been accused of creating a monster and an unyielding, unredeemable black man who exploited and mistreated a young woman who had made who he had made his wife. Mister's frustrations, fear, anger also poisoned his relationship with his father, his son, and his sister-in-law, whom he tried to rape. Although most viewers were able to separate the actor from the role he played, Glover came under some fire for his conceiving portrayal, perhaps because he had to understand the Vincing portrayal. Perhaps because he had to understand the character motivation. Glover took a look deeper into Mister's mind and soul. It's talking about complexity of Mr. Glover and said his insensitivity comes out of a rigid, limited overview of himself in a world he had to deal with. A lot of what Mr. does comes out of his own pain. The character's abuse, his wife, Glover thought, because he felt abused by the world. Glover's analysis did not excuse the behavior, but only attempted to explain it. If anything, Danny Glover, in his polar opposite of Mr., married since 1976 to his wife, Asake, a singer and owner of a Francisco art gallery. Glover is a loving husband and devoted father to their teenage daughter, Mendisa, a native of San Francisco, a former student activist in San Francisco State University. Glover worked in the Black Panther Breakfast of Children program in the 1960s and helped organize the strike against the university when he tried to end the ethnic students program. He also involved in the tutorial program of the city's elementary school and worked in the community people who had been displaced by urban development. Although his acting career took up much of his energy, now Glover still devotes his time to young black in the city and around the country. He tours every month to talk about the youth and about the importance of education, the dangers of drugs, and other topics of interest to them. Glover's commitment to black people goes beyond the U.S. to Africa, and he also several investors in new age beverages and South African businesses ventures in with intentionally providing 200 jobs to produce and distribute Pepsi Cola products. Glover's body of work, which includes the role of Nelson Mandela and the new president of South Africa, an HBO movie, and a police officer in an action-packed series, Lethal Weapon movies, earned him a superstar status. Glover's also branching out to productions and directing his own company, um, Carey Productions, co-produced the star and critically acclaimed The Sleeping Anger, Charles Burnett film. Glover has made it in film and fields where few blacks attain his standing. You understand what I'm saying? But check it out. Also, he is the head of the heart. His head and heart, however, has kept him grounded and committed to giving back to the family and community. That's a champion Danny Glover has made himself. I had to read that manuscript because you understand. I wanted to lead with that interlude because sometimes you got to understand some things are a stage, but also some things are extremely real, very real. All right, we good. Let's get to the first whoop moment. DJT is showing you who you really are. Who? Not me. You know, the people that share his likenesses, his tendencies, his ways of orchestrating, his ways of being, his ways of operating, and the praising of him. Those are sick ass, crazy ass, diabolical ass people. But at the end of the day, There are different sides to some decisions that the president does make. Very many of different sides. And nobody understands them because they're extremely fucking bizarre. We are in the most catastrophic situations beyond because this sycophant sense to make different decisions. DJT every day. Donald Trump. Yeah, Donald Trump. Okay. Listen here, man. The thing is, people are so obsessed with greed, money, and financial stability in situations that it's not financial stability, it's financial prostitution. It's also financial uh yeah, here's the one for you. The shit that the billionaires doing is practicing what you would call uh financial, same thing they do with them damn children. It's more than theft. This is financial perversion. Their whole life exists on being perverted, extremely perverted. In every which say of perversion there is to be, they have to pervert everything. It's true. I mean, if you think about it and you discover and you see these files, the Epstein files, the and the defending people defending this shit, that's the crazy part. You have people that have children that are defending this behavior. Like, that's the same thing that because people will sell their children. They always have. Now you got some people their children are up for sale depending on how much you can sell them for. And also the reason why some parents even went to those parties with the kids, it wasn't protect them. It's just to see how far they would go, and probably to see if they can have to get a little attention. But when she found out none of that with attention, she's a grown woman there with grown men, and they see her as a fucking waitress, a nanny, and that upset her even worse. There's no way she would be there with her 14-year-old daughter not trying to score too. Yeah, they say DJ T used to have these parties and used to invite 14-year-old girls to his party. Some of them used to wear training bras. But see, the thing is, the women used to go there too to see if they could get a score, to see if they can bring these older white men to their senses. Because you're supposed to want a grown woman. They was like, no, them grown old men knew what the hell they wanted, and they wanted a child. Yeah, that's what they wanted, a child. So they looked at her like she was an old maid, and that made her extremely furious. She's somewhere between uh, 28 and 35, 40, 45, maybe even 50. This man's 70. He looked at her like she's an old woman. Yeah, that's the kind of shit they had to go through. And that's what made them women extremely inferior. So not only were you willing to sell your daughter, you was willing to sell yourself, but you were unattractive, unfavorable, and you couldn't bear that an old man would desire a child above a grown woman, especially when he's 20 years older than you. That's the real problem that some of those women really had. It ain't had nothing to do with them. They had their child there for sale anyway. Modeling, they have boosted her up, told her how beautiful she was and how she was gonna make it and whatever it takes. Pain is beauty. All of these fucking things, right? But at the same time, does it mean her being uh, unalive or sexually assaulted to the degree where she have had pains in her anus and her vaginal canal, and she can't have kids for the rest of her life because some of those old carcasses had diseases. So they didn't give a shit about the being. They gave a shit about their feelings. The same thing, or the same way a person could, kind of, just decide to drag the world into World War, what the fuck, and nobody asked about it because in the past it used to take diplomacy, but now, well, they pose it as if they did diplomacy, but it wasn't diplomacy then. It was an all hands on event. So now that these practices have taken place amongst history of this country, everything has become again uncivil, extremely uncivil. And how does it become so uncivil? Because who's civil when they feel like their mentality doesn't relate to anyone else in the world and why they rule, and the reason why their ancestors positioned them to rule is because they were who? Oh, the Anglo? They are completely distorted with what really history really meant, and they're going to have to really wrestle with the fact that these distortions in history you think you're not going to have to deal with. Oh, you're going to have to deal with them dearly. Let's get to the next one. See, the problem that we have in this society is white male patriarchy. White male patriarchy. That is the biggest, most ultimate issue on the planet today. It's the white male illusion that he is superior. It's the white male illusion that he is smarter. It's the white male illusion that he is physically dominant. It's the white male illusion that he is something that he has never ever been. See, the thing is, when you have entered on the planet, you were saved by a black woman. You came from the Grimaldi tribe. You were saved, but you also, were the Neanderthal that uh, were barbarous beasts. So when Sheikh Enti Diop, even with Africa's exchange with you, which was the first exchange with you, Sheikh Enti Diop said, was this civilization or barbarism? You could not have ever given anyone civilization, not with your barbarism. You can't. So civilization and barbarism does not go hand in hand. Civilization means civilization. Barbarism means that you took over civilization with your barbarous ways and acted as if you were civil in the process, and you just so happen to leave that shit out, and it's annoying. Damn, you make movies and conquest, but you make movies and shit about your conquest and then deny it and act as if it was the manifest destiny. Bullshit. Bullshit. It was a way for you to misinterpret history, rewrite yourself into an equation, and actually take pieces from other points in time in history, rewrite it with your face on it. And you went on a campaign. Do you realize the actual stories and aspects and characterizations of your ancestors? Do you understand the reason why we can talk and speak and expound upon these situations today is because your ancestors set these things into play for you to fail. You weren't supposed to get away with any of what you did, and you won't. But you keep on attacking people's pages. You have all of these memes that you create and make fun of indigenous people globally. You make fun of every damn body. You make, and it's quite sad. It's quite, because you're the child. So of course a child will behave like a child. But you know what? A child is annoying when you're living in a big boy world, a big grown world, and this child, now the world is starting to understand, no, these children and the way they behave, they have been extremely effective in fuckery for a long time. This shit got to come to a halt. Some people need to grow the fuck up. And that's just the truth. The reason why the world is in turmoil and why we are in the particular state that we are in right now is because these are grown fucking children that get their fucking feelings hurt and start fucking problems with living, breathing beings. That's how you know they're so disattached. They're so disassociated. They're so unlearned. They're so barbaric. And you walk around, drive around, prance around, and press around as if you are fucking better or higher. You are a goddamn savage in well-dressed clothing. Fucking civilized. You gotta be fucking kidding. Do you know why Anthony Bundine, the man that used to go around the world tasting food, he said he saw the beauty in people's faces. They didn't have much. They had each other. They had love. Those indigenous cultures that had those wonderful meals, they used to have camaraderie, family, a like mind, knowing that they're going to wake up with each other every day and exist and live and have some form of happiness and peace and love and tranquility. That makes for a beautiful mind. A beautiful mind. But if you take all of the outside ugliness that people want to bestow upon others for their tranquility, is that not fucking evil and despicable, treacherous, ugly, awful? So that you can feel good and other people can feel awful, live awful, live beneath their worth. The world is waking up to a whole nother algorithm. And some of you will be outpaced simply because of your lack of empathy, your lack of sympathy, your lack of trust, your lack of understanding, your lack of being able to relate, the lack of the ability with understanding true ethics, possibilities, and aspirations that people have. That's your loss because you still want to try to define and recreate the narrative that suits you. That shit ain't never working for no single person or creature. Not you. You have manipulated and destroyed and annihilated parts of the planet that we can't get back. That shall come to an end as well. Shit. Hold on. Give me a second. Yes, indeed. All right. Let's get to the next. No. We're gonna still stay on this white male patriarchy for quite some time. This is a very pivotal thing. Back in 2011, it was a professor that he said the one duty that all uh, Caucasians, males, should consider being docile simply because of the legacy that you have left the planet. Your short time of rule has decimated and cost all continents, all five, a tremendous loss and no gains. The blood and bodies that were spilled globally did not account for the destruction, the illustrious illusions, the blatant destructive disrespect, the raping, robbing, pillaging of resources and things that would really value people of their Aboriginal homelands and also people abroad of their Aboriginal homelands. And maybe you should think about taking your ass home. But since you want to sit up here and cosplay and act as if you are the one, the ultimate one, how about you think about being accountable and responsible for the destruction that you have laid upon the whole goddamn planet and still doing? And yes, this is on you. All of it. Every single last bit of the destruction that's happened within the past 500 years from Cecil Rhodes to shit. I can get a book and run them down for you. Cecil Rhodes. I won't even say the names you want me to say. Because the problem is with even distributing certain information is you have a very strong neck for misinterpretation. I don't know how anybody can misinterpret logic as much as you do, but you just figure out a way to do it because you a backwards thinking motherfucker. And can't nobody help the way that you think so fucked up and backwards. that you can't come align with nature because you would call Mother Nature your bitch when the one thing you should be doing is trying to align with nature. But that means you gotta be my son. You gotta be my child. That means I have to teach you, son. But you're so hateful. You're so disrespectful. You're so undisciplined. You're so shrewd. You won't even take advice from your father because you a rogue beast. You ain't gonna submit to me, so I'll let you destroy yours. Let me get to the next moment. Hold on a second. See, the problem with uh power is you become a one-trick pony because you will do anything to do it. Because it's one equation. Power. One equation associated, and that's power. Makes you a one-trick pony because that's all you want. So what will you do for power? Only God knows. And half of the time it's so grotesque, disgusting, and despicable. You hate yourself every time you look in the mirror. So that's why you are able to practice in such hateful amalgamations. Because you hate yourself for what you would do to rule, to get your way, and not be accountable. But do you understand the world doesn't work that fucking way? Everything you do, when it's time for your shit to be up, I hope you got enough. Because you ain't gonna be able to do shit with it. Do you understand wealth doesn't buy you nothing but a physical alteration of your life? It's an aberration. So the only reason why you think about creating altered carbon and things of this nature, shit that you can live forever, because you know your carcass, when your ass is done, you are done. I don't give a shit how many open heart surgeries or lungs, whatever. You already know what you have done. It's embedded into destructive, sycophant shit. So that's the way that you have maintained your apparatus. And you have been able to cast that spirit amongst a lot of people that bought into it, but they're going to have the same fate as you. The problem with people turning occult knowledge into something of a spectacle of, it's mysterious. You shouldn't study certain things. You shouldn't know some things you ain't supposed to know. Bullshit. How the hell are you gonna know what you are if you don't know the things that they say don't learn? Are you fucking kidding me? The goal is to learn yourself. The goal is to develop yourself. And the only way you can do that is by empowering yourself through knowledge. So why would somebody tell you, who would be evil enough to tell you to turn your face and and your mindset on the things that you crave, which is knowledge? Knowledge is not a sin. How do you grow a crop? How do you get these natural ways of production? Because it takes a way of thinking. You can't deny your brain intelligence and how you can make the world smarter, better, and eloquent, and make it also one, meaning feed it to serve it. Feed it to serve it. Create an exchange. Create a system. Create what you want in life in order for life to be what you want it to be, but it can't infringe on the way other people operate. That's when it becomes problem or an aberration because you're infringing on someone, you're taking. That's lying, deceiving, deception. All of those characteristics run the same as well because they're false notions brought into reality that don't fit. So what happens if you can build the world without liars? What happens if you can build a world on truth without points and periods that you try to choose as if the Europeans was to set their marks and say, we get our culture from the Greeks. And the Greeks ain't do shit but take from the ancient Chemites. They ain't never did shit. They didn't invent shit. All they do was take their gods and created their own system of complex. And then you got Black Greek society, Black Greek letter writing societies acting as if you're something new or something. No, you are not. You're a fucking problem. You are Boule society and culture that have a built-in demon that you serve above even your own family. And I know a lot of you guys don't believe these things. Man, you people are full of shit. Because there's all this things about positionings of power. That's all that shit is about. It ain't about nothing else. It's called a connection. You can build that on your own, and people will help you, and you can do that fluidly. Without some fluid, bullshit ass connection that you got to do some old fuck shit to be with. Because you took that ass whooping don't mean everybody else gonna take that ass whooping. You know what I'm saying? Or you took that humiliation, you want to humiliate somebody else, so you're subject to being humiliated. Life will teach you enough that on its own. You don't need no one to do that for you. And if somebody is your friend and you connect with them, they will help you. They just have to be genuine like you. That's all it takes. That's how you build a real correlation. And that's what I want the Will This podcast to be. A real alumni. Truth, honesty, justice, reciprocity. That's what it is. Let's build a new space. Let's learn together. Let's be a place of truth, reciprocity, justice, and order. But we also talk our shit, learn, get down, and you know what I'm saying? We have our fun too. We be us. Ain't nothing wrong with learning. Ain't nothing wrong with growing. But you don't have to be a stiff about a goddamn thing. Your life is for you to live. Period. Let's get to the next good moment. One trick pony is one thing, but it's something wrong with logic when people think that you gotta have, all these fucking stipulations and rules about everything. And they are great to have because they do modern and govern the way society is supposed to function. But at the end of the day, moderation is a wonderful thing. And people should always be able to practice what you call fellowship and celebrate. Celebration and fellowship and being fair is about how life is supposed to be lived so that we can explore, get to know each other, learn, fellowship, and grow us as a collective people. Like, these things should never be taken out of society because it creates congruency. When you go to work on Sunday, when you go to work on the week, you had a great experience. You've seen people that you work with. Y'all, those type of small town functions and shit kept communities functioning in a wonderful way without you having these outside entities breaking people up and separating people and creating dysfunction and distance. Dysfunction and distance is a horrible way to fucking live because you ain't got nobody to rely on. Then they started making fun of that shit and said, hey, if I got some, at one point it was cool to be like, hey, if I got some sugar and you got some Kool-Aid, remember on Friday? Hey, we got some shit. But if I got some bread and whatever it is, and you got some eggs, if I got some flour and you got some eggs, we got some bread. But see, those notions are like, motherfucker better have their own now. I don't want nobody relying on me. Just keep that shit to yourself. Don't come asking me for shit. You know what I'm saying? That's how everybody get down now, that's kind of how society has molded us to be. To be shamed if you need anything from somebody. Be shamed if you fucking need help. To be shamed. Oh my fucking God. How many motherfuckers want to be shamed of being alive? Shit. Whatever. Okay. Next with moment. Inferior. Oh, stinking thinking. Man, stinking thinking. That's what you call stinking thinking right there. When you're always trying to calculate how somebody would see you because you need something, so you won't pivot or even say, hey, I need assistance, or I may need some extra construction, or I may need some validation because I don't want to fuck something up. That does not make you look small. It makes you seem concerned, and it makes you seem accurate, and it validates your performance. I don't understand, and I think when people try to make these big attaboy Superman decisions by themselves, they trying to be, that you're trying to flex. And if you break something, what if you fuck something up? When you could have asked for help. Tisk. Ain't that some bullshit? For real it is. And that's just the way it goes. I don't understand why you would want to participate in a school of fucking people when you can actually be excellent and certified. You understand what I'm saying? You can get that check in the box by just saying, hey, man, it's not that you're not too sure of yourself. You just want to say, let's get another set of eyes on. What if you're wrong and that extra set of eyes was the missing piece or the thing that you needed to move forward the thing that you needed to actually say, okay, the reason why you communicate properly is that's how you get to the next step. That's how you get to the next step in life and everything. Things have to measure up. It has to align in order for you to move forward. So you have to be honest with the process. You have to be extremely honest with the process. Because if you're not, that shit shows up. That's just what the fuck happens. It shows the fuck up. We'll play a little music. I gotta take a piss. I'll be back. Let me get this chat started. Sorry about that, guys. I'll show the chat. How you guys doing? Let me show the chat. Yeah, let me show the chat. Everybody, I'll show all the chats. What's going on? Let me go take a piss. I'll be right back. Let me get some music started. Real quick. So y'all can have something to enjoy. I got a piss though, y'all. So I gotta play something for y'all real quick. All right, I'll be back. I'm back. You know how to make an entrance. You gotta be kind of dramatic at times, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, here we go. Yeah. Turn that down a little bit. Okay. Let's get to the next moment, okay? All right. Yeah, stinking thinking. Come on. Stinking thinking. Oh man. Stinking thinking is always plotting. Always figuring out a scam to renege. Always thinking of a way up to get out of some shit. Always thinking of a way to just scam. How do you think all of these wicked characteristics seep into society the way they done? Because we've seen it done. We know who implemented it, because when you think about it, like, what happens when you work for a wage and someone says, well, I'm not paying you that. I want to pay you what I want to pay you now. You're like, wait a fucking minute. I need you to pay me what I am owed. So that causes a problem, right? So what if they own the judge and own the courts in this town? And what if it's bigger than that? I'm like, damn, I feel powerless. So you mean to tell me I gotta take the shit? Yeah, well, that's the way it is. That's the way it's functioning right now. That's what we're relying on, and that's what we gotta go with. You're like, wait a fucking, I ain't agree with none of this shit. So it's always a soft. It's always they always come in soft to that degree, just like that, real soft. And then it gets a little brutal. They inch it and step it up just a little bit until you lose all fucking power to maintain any real position of fighting back because you've given up so much. You see the position that we are in today as Americans? It's because some people don't want black people to get our just due, or Aboriginal Americans, FBAs, children of slaves, not children of people that were enslaved. Let's make a correction. You understand? Even the kidnapping of children that they enslaved. That's the same thing as slavery. They enslaved children and brought children up into slavery so that they would never know who they were at all. Even when they taught you how to read, they had implemented the Charles Dickens narratives and all these different things to let you think they have this glorious, illustrious history that they have just created. Where the fuck they get these stories from? And you're reading these published books at these times that were printed and being imprint at the specific time and called bestsellers and novels because that gave white people some form of dignity, which they would never had, never earned, and never knew anything about. So if you ever had any dignity for a person, how could you treat another being so harsh, or cruel, or disgusting? Perhaps that's because how you know you deserve to be treated. The reason why black people have never led that way of moving forward, well, we know some, but black copper-colored Americans, the most hospitable people on the planet, until it was exploited. Hospitality is a paramount thing to do. Not disrespecting people is something that you revere because why would you want to be disrespected? Why would you want to be disrespected? The only thing, if you ask yourself that question, who wants to be disrespected? And I know you think it's complex, but it's not complex at all. It's people that do the disrespect and act as if you don't know, or acting as if I don't know that you're disrespecting me. You think I don't know what you're doing? Because you didn't get the response that you wanted, or maybe if I just sidestepped you, you think, see, a child thinks that I got to say whatever I want to say to them. No, because you're going to keep treating people like that until the right person gives you just what the fuck you look for. And you never know who that is. They may not be that specific point in time. No, not at all. But I guarantee you, the time waits. Trust that. Anyway, let's get to the next moment, because that's your stinking thinking. Always thinking that your presence is something that it is not. It has never been. Let's get to the next moment again. Inferiority is a white trait. Turn black. So when you can control, let me show you how and why too. Let me show you how and why. Specifically, I gotta get a book. I gotta get a book to show you why now. This one, so we gonna go. Your inferiority, okay? I keep certain books alive. I'm on a run with certain books right now. I gotta speak about certain things. I hope you understand my podcast. Let's talk about this. Talk about this. Uh-oh. History of Captivity and Sufferings of Mrs. Maria Martin. Maria Martin. Out of this book, White Slaves African Masters, an anthology of American Barbary captivity narratives. Now, this is a narrative. This narrative is about Maria Martin. Maria Martin's gruesome account of her long imprisonment in the Algerian dungeon enjoyed the greatest popularity of any of the superior Barbary captives' narratives. From its first printing, likely in 1807, until its last in 1818, the narrative appeared in 12 editions in 9 different publications. The writer likely derived Martin's account in the fictionalized tale that appeared 7 years earlier by the same publisher and under a very similar title. The Captivity and Suffering of Mrs. Mary Veltnet, who was 7 years a slave in Tripoli, 3 of which she was confined in a dungeon loaded with irons and 4 times put to the most cruel torture ever invented by man. While her narratives called Miss Mary Vilnet, an Italian lady, Maria Martin's nationality remains questioned. 2 pieces of evidence within the narrative, however, suggest that the readers might have understood her to be an American. First, she gloats that the idea of kingdom she felt in the felt it an epithet that should be struck from the land. Second, her voyage home took 45 days, sufficient sailing time, return to America, while the North African regencies captured many Western women. None of these captives appeared to have written a narrative that had survived. The 2 other fabrication accounts of Mary Gerard and Valenta Larata, as well as several American plays with female captives, suggested a public fascination with female captivity, perhaps derived from the Indian captivity traditions in the accounts of Mary Rowlandson, Hannah Dustin, and Mary Jimson, among others. The female Barbary captives that also survived into the 12th century through man-market fiction and such romances titled Victoria's Hope, The Captive in 1983, The Segene, Golan's Angelique, and Barbary, 1961. Having the foregoing pages given the account of the customs, manners of the Algerians, shall no proceed to relate in such particulars of my captive and unparalleled sufferings while a slave among them. In the year 1800, it took passage Madeira and the slope trumpet for Cadiz. The object I have to view was to visit an aged uncle with whom I had lived in an early part of my life. Nothing worthy of record took place, and from the time of my departure until the sight of the rock of Gibraltar, where a man had masked his discovery, a strange sail steering directly for us. Let me read you some more of another one of these books right here. Now, this is The Iceman's Inheritance, Prehistoric Sources of Western Man's Racism, Sexism, and Aggression. This book right here lets you and allows you to understand the mask on, mask off persuasion in the Americas. I'm off this page. Hold on. Wait a minute. Yeah, I got to read you something out of here. This is philosophy. This is psychobiology. Chapter 6, Fire and Ice, Psychobiology. Check this out. The pendulum swung to judgment seems to be the intellectual institution of the West. In the interest of objectivity, we may pressure to anticipate a pendulum swinging in the judgment of Neanderthals. We have seen that the last 100 years have been dominated by the last 100 years have been dominated by the rise to ready to co-sign Neanderthals to irrecoverable bestiality, an unpardonable brutality. Since about 1960, there had been a Neanderthal rethink, perhaps culminating in, aptly illustrated by the title of Ralph Solinsky's recent book, Charnida, the First Flower People. The Neanderthal orc had become transmuted into acceptable man of destiny and human evolution. Only a few short years ago, he was the inconceivable brute. Now Neanderthal is likely into a flower child. Neanderthal's new image had not yet percolated down to the part of the intellectual repertoire of the average man that will take it a little longer. But there is little doubt humans begin what we are, that by the time the average man becomes adjusted to the new Neanderthal, a rethink will be catching hold in academic circles. In the interest of a circulating of the sort of inevitable development, I offer the following to rethink in advance. Everybody agrees the Neanderthal skull differ radically from ours. Above and beyond more physiological details, Neanderthal skull. This is more. Now you hear that? More theological details. Neanderthal skulls were simply huge. Neanderthal's face was type the size of a mouse, and his heads were about an inch bigger in every direction, but up. On a bone by bone basis, we have learned that almost every single Neanderthal skeletal characteristic can be matched among living people. The operative word here is can. It would be very difficult to match Neanderthal hands and feet among living Europeans. The bone by bone analysis of Neanderthals tend to disguise the truth of the Neanderthal gestone. We are talking about people with a face twice as large as ours, heads an inch longer and wider, and postcranial bones can be matched after a long and hard looking with modern people. After a lot of hard looking with modern people. And all of the creatures about 5 feet 4 inches high, Neanderthal women were quite a bit smaller, barely with a normal European range, and yet their bones can be matched with living Europeans. The Neanderthals were exceedingly squat, heavy little people with grotesque by their standards. And grotesque by our standards. Let me read this again. The Neanderthals were exceedingly squat, heavy little people, and grotesque by our standards. There's no way to get around the fact that the Neanderthal differs from later Eurasia. But in general, a skeletal difference on the term of gestalt, and think that the flesh appears in Neanderthals would likely be more shocking to us. Yet, I think some skeletal details post. Point is this: in Neanderthal, the lower rib cage was very, very full, even flared, and their chest is almost very deep in modern standards. Then, the fact that the Neanderthal pelvic bones, and through the similar in modern man in shape, had a tendency to be a bit higher and more flared. we are left with a lower flaring rib and higher flaring hip. Those skeletal structures must have been functional, and this function can only be to support a very round and full trunk. Um, I'm inclined to believe that the Neanderthal body type was, in a flesh, almost absurdly round. Those are just the facts, people. You want to go with simple genetic compositions and things of that nature when they say, oh, the hip, they got them big thighs that run all the way up to their back. Man, shit crazy. Shit's crazy. So they know who they are, but they also know who you are too. Why do you think people are so harsh? And you can develop so many freaking systems just to say, I don't want these people to have shit. Because they're so gifted. They're so talented. They're so smart. And now the world is starting to pick up on how intelligent the Black Americans have always been, because now you have time, you have had time to absorb us. You observe us. You have had time to absorb us and being around us. You have had time to think and understand and know that, you know, we are a very eloquent, different kind of people. We're a very wonderful kind of people. And see, now history is now writing itself. You understand how wonderful that is? When history starts to write itself, that means you have your historical acumen. You can see yourself, through yourself, for yourself. And if you're telling the truth, that's history writing itself for you. Even AI is understanding how to write history. It's a beautiful equation. It's wonderful. I think it's quite immaculate. Let me get to the next moment. Because truth is the light, and the light is the truth. And if you want to develop light, you have to stop understanding your truth and get to the truth. The truth is only one, and you have to sit in the bosom of the truth in order to feel and know your development is taking hold. You dig? So you broke you. Don't put that on God. I'm gonna let them know that anybody that has a hard time understanding and being a good person, you broke your own self. Don't put that on God. Don't be talking about God is trying to humble us. No, speak for your goddamn self. You broke you. Every fucking single lesson that you could have learned has already been here. And if you had a took time to been not so self-absorbed or thinking that you were something you have never been, we wouldn't be in this situation. But if you just take a look back at history, even modern history, you will learn how motherfuckers that even co-signed and dealt with the world on the other side of the equations, wanting to hurt other people and not understanding the outcome. This is not a fucking video game. You're playing with people's fucking lives. You happy now? It's weird, rude and cruel. Beyond fucking cruel. This thing is sick and sadistic. But you don't give a shit about that until it actually happens. How many people don't see the shit that hit them in the fucking face before it actually happens? Why? We could avoid all of this shit. It's all avoidable. Who's the little people? Oh. You stand yourself above, beat your chest, want to make all the fucking rules, be the administrator and lie and put your name on shit that you ain't never do. See, them lies catching up, and I'm happy they are. I'm sick of these motherfuckers. All they do is lie, deceive, and steal and cheat. Get your ass where you belong. There's a place for motherfuckers like y'all. Retribution is coming up. I promise you, y'all gonna be extremely surprised about the reckoning. Because that reckoning is coming, goddamn. I promise you that reckoning is a motherfucker's coming. You gotta learn how to turn your intrigue into intensity when it comes to development. Seriously, man. You're gonna need some tools. Y'all gonna need some fucking tools in a minute. You're gonna know how to operate. You gotta know how to move forward. You gotta need some tools in a minute. But I got you. Let me help you out. Y'all got also I would appreciate if you share, like, subscribe. Because I love that you watch the show. I love you for watching the show. I love you, period, because I think we have a lot of show. You know, I've been putting out a few lives, practicing, a few elements of having you guys see the repeats, you know what I'm saying? Repeating some shows. You guys can catch up and tune into the Wheelers podcast for what you know and how to do it. You know where to go for information that's critiqued to a mindset and a lifestyle. I hope you understand that. See, the thing is, when I started this podcast, I understood one thing. You have to be authentic and I have to be myself, which meaning I have to be comfortable. So in order to be comfortable and you to see the best version of me, I have to be, put myself in a space of comfort to be my complete and total self. Hope you understand that. So check it out, man. We're gonna get into the show tonight. Mask on, mask off America. I hope y'all share. Stay with me. Watch the long version of my shows. I promise you, they are the reason why I could put out so many thunderous shorts. You got to understand how I lead into them and how I orchestrate the show to lead into these whip moments, because these whip moments develop into their different stories that are intricate into the show that helps you understand different perspectives. So sometimes they're my experiences, sometimes they're short stories from books that I share. Sometimes you may understand things and you have a aha moment. So stay with me, share, like, subscribe, and understand what you're tuning into. It's a high level of content and information. I'm intricate, I'm intelligent, and also I'm understanding. I'm humble as well. A lot of people can hold a lot of different elements at one time, but mask on, mask off. When you don't wear a mask, you just be. When I don't have to pretend for nobody, because I'm coming in the game with everything. I'm motherfucking want this shit about respect. Respect about what I'm trying to do and how I'm trying to do it. There we go. There we go. Hold on. Let me check my settings too, though. For real. While in the audio space. Gotta check my settings and make sure we good. You know what I'm saying? Make sure my mic working and everything.